So you want to get in the Ivy League, huh? Let me tell you a little secret. There is no secret. Alright, so if you clicked on this video thinking that you're going to get some secret formula to get into the Ivy League, I hate to break it to you, but that was 100% clickbait. The truth is, it's totally a crapshoot, and where you end up may not entirely be up to you. But does that mean you should stop from applying to your dream schools and setting the bar high for yourself? Absolutely not. In this video, I'll give you 5 tips that help me get into the Ivy League and share with you guys some of my insights as I went through the college admissions process. It's a perfect time to make this video with admissions deadlines coming around December 1st, so I figured I'd share with you guys some tips and tricks to help me get into where I got accepted. So before I begin this video, I'll be doing a statistics video of all my scores, GPA, extracurriculars in a separate video, but today I just want to focus on holistically how and what can set you apart. Because if you're watching this at this point, it's probably too late to go back and change those scores, but let me show you what you guys can do now in order to help have the best chances. And I know exactly how you guys are feeling right about now. It's crazy to think that the admissions process was only a year ago for me, but now that I'm actually here at Princeton University, it's crazy how that time flies and how I've reflected on it. Right now you're probably finishing out your Stanford application, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, whatever college it is, you name it. I've probably written that same application, probably went through the same process of figuring out, oh crap, how do I write the supplement? What is this Common App? And now that I've been successful in the application process, and there's not too many videos out there on YouTube that kind of go in depth on what it is that takes to get into the Ivy League, I figured I'd share that with you guys today. Alright, so tip number 1, be genuine. And as cliche as that sounds, it's the truth. Admissions counselors have been through this for so many years. They know exactly how to see through the bullshit, can tell when you're not being genuine, when you're not being authentic. So the best way to combat that is truly be yourself. Have an authentic story, have a genuine voice. Make sure that your passion is reflected in every word that you write and in every part of your application that you submit. You don't want to come off as a lifeless drone. You want to have an attitude, you want to have a character to yourself. You want to have a certain charisma that admissions counselors would be like, oh wow, this kid is cool. He has something he was passionate about. He was very well invested at school. He took a lot of time to invest himself in that passion, and that will pay off. That's the stuff that can get you into these top tier, high level universities, rather than someone who just sat around and didn't do too much. Being that student that went out and sought all those opportunities, internships, research, that's what's going to separate you from the majority, and that's what's going to make your application stand out. But Nick, what if I don't have anything I'm passionate about? Well, you gotta find something. No matter what it is that you've done in your life, there has to be at least one thing that you were passionate about, that you had love for, that you felt a spark in when you did. For me, that was music and photography. Every time I was playing on the marching field, or playing in the orchestra, or going out with my camera and photography, those are what sparked my interest. Those are what made me happy, made me feel like I was doing something with my life. And so you gotta find that. No matter how weird or crazy it is, the more unique story you have, the better, because you're gonna have this wonderful way to tell it that no one else could ever have. The biggest thing about college admissions is that the admins committee is looking for a genuine person, not a robot who can crank out perfect test scores, can win all math bowls, can code as many lines as possible. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who had passion in high school, who had drive to be the best at whatever they were, and that's what's gonna set you apart once again. So tip number 2, have the scores. As much as I hate to say it, you are applying to an Ivy League. These are high caliber universities that are ranked in top 10 every single year, Princeton being number 1. But that being said, you're gonna have to have the GPA, the SAT, ACT scores to be competitive and to be in the ballpark. But from what I've heard, and not that it's true or that it's credible, if your scores aren't within a certain ballpark, they won't necessarily look at your entire application. It's kind of like a vetting process or a screening. You kind of have to have like a certain barrier, a certain limitation before you can proceed to the next round. But that's not to say that your scores have to be perfect. They have to be reasonable. They have to be within the ballpark. A really helpful tool is if you go onto a lot of these college websites, they have statistics of their 25th percentile and their 75th percentile. And seeing how your scores compare within that range will give you a good ballpark if you're a competitive candidate or if you should begin looking somewhere else. But I don't want to come off like it's impossible to get into Harvard, Princeton, these big schools that you've been dreaming about for so long. Because look at me, I'm here. To be completely honest, I didn't have the perfect scores. I didn't have a perfect GPA. I didn't have a 400 or 1500 or 36 or whatever scores you guys are using now. I had good extracurriculars. I was well-rounded. I did well academically. I also had a social life. I made time for my friends and family, and that's what is holistic about the applications process. They don't just focus on your grades. They focus on your extracurriculars, what you've done with your time throughout high school, what your teachers say about you. That's a huge thing. Teacher recommendations. Make sure that you have someone that can speak well on your behalf rather than someone who you weren't very active, didn't participate too much in their class. Admissions counselors can see when a teacher's being genuine rather than when they copy and paste to so many other kids. Does that mean don't apply for these schools at all if you don't have the scores you think to get in? Absolutely not. At the end of the day, colleges are looking for a human. If you have a unique story, talent, or passion that can make up for your lower scores, by all means, apply. Ivy Leagues will appreciate that. They don't want everyone to have these perfect scores. Find something unique about yourself and be the absolute best at it. Find any internship, scholarship, opportunities that involve your passion and find a way to make that the biggest part of your application. In all of your short answers, make sure you tie it back to that central theme, because when admissions counselors look at your application, they're looking at it holistically, meaning that they're viewing every aspect of it as a whole rather than your grades, your extracurriculars, your recommendation letters. So make sure that everything that you do kind of relates back to one central idea. Once again, for me, that was photography. I tied in a little bit of my music experience, how that affected my life. And those are all essays and prompts that I'm planning on doing in a separate video. But think about it, if every student at Princeton was well-rounded, how would we have 37 Nobel laureates? Universities are admitting classes as a whole, meaning that they don't want everyone to have 2400s or these perfect scores. They want athletes, they want artists, they want musicians, they want all these type of people to create a microcosm, basically a smaller community in which each person excels at the best at what they do, rather than having people who are mediocre at a lot of things. I think that's probably the biggest misconception that I found out a little too late in my junior year. I realized that, oh crap, if I'm just mediocre at everything, I'm not gonna be able to stand out, which is why I took some time to really focus on my passions rather than spreading myself out too thin and not covering my bases. Tip number 3, start early. As cliche as it sounds and as many times as you're gonna hear it, it truly is important. Make sure you start right when those applications come out. If you're watching this now, you're probably panicking. Don't stress out too much, that doesn't mean it's too late. If you have time, I definitely highly recommend that you get as many people as you can to look over your essays, revise it as many times as they need. I think the most helpful thing for me was to have people be brutally honest about what they thought about my essays. That gave me the best critiques, that gave me the best feedback, that allowed me to really revamp my essays to make them the best they could be. Your first drafts will be shit, and that's absolutely okay. If you look at from where I took my final revision to the very first draft that I started, it's completely different. There's so many parts that I've moved around, deleted entire paragraphs. If you need to do that to get the best version of your essay possible, then by all means do it. Ask anyone that will take 10 minutes out of their day to read your essays and follow up with a thank you email, whether it's your friends, your family, your professors, family, friends. But at the end of the day, the story is completely up to you, meaning that you want your voice to shine through. You have to be authentic. Crap. Alright, this poster is going down for a while. Tip number 3, have a spike. Now what does that mean? A spike, literally, a spike in your application, a portion of your application that really makes you stand out. I think the biggest misconception is that colleges need students to be well-rounded. And to say that's a lie isn't 100% true. What they mean by well-rounded is, of course, you have to have the good scores, extracurriculars, volunteer activities, community service, things like that. But at the end of the day, a spike is really what's gonna elevate your application to the next level. A specific area that you were the most passionate about, that you had the most interest in, that you took the most opportunities with. Number 4, use your researchers and do your research. Basically what that means is talk to your admissions counselor, talk to your teachers, talk to past alumni, watch YouTube videos, and do anything you can to immerse yourself in everything about that college. What helped me was talking to alumni from my high school and where they were now and seeing how they liked the student life, culture, extracurriculars, academics, asking them questions about what they do on the weekends, how's the weather, anything you can do to get yourself immersed and really imagine yourself at the campus for the next 4 years. Another huge thing to help is YouTube videos, which is why I try and make these day in my life videos at Princeton so that people who may not have the chance to come to campus can see what a day in the life is actually like, what I do for fun, what I do in the weekends, hang out, how I study, and really imagine yourself here once again. Because at the end of the day, this is a huge decision. You'll be spending the next 4 years of your life, an entirely new chapter where you really grow and mature as a human. You want to be in the right environment, surrounded by the people who will support you and be conducive to you growing as a human, as an intellectual, rather than a place where you won't fit in, where you won't have a good time because it wasn't the right fit for you, because you didn't do enough research. Tip number 5, something that I didn't realize was that important, was enjoy your senior year. At this point, you're finishing up your early deadlines, you're about to hit your regular deadlines, and after that, you're done. After all that work that you put in for the past 3 or 4 months, you'll finally have a time to relax. So enjoy that time. Go out with your friends, do the things that you wish you would have done throughout high school, and meet new people. The last few months of high school were honestly the best times of my life. I made so many friends that I wish I would have met earlier. I was spending time doing the most fun things with my high school friends, memories that I really miss right now and wish I could go back, because those are the times we really didn't care about anything. The stress of college applications was finally off. There was nothing else we could do but really just enjoy that time. Spend time with your family, make sure you appreciate them, show them love, because in a few months you're gonna be gone. It really does suck not having your friends or family nearby. because I mean that's definitely one of the cons of going to an Ivy League. Is it's way up in the East Coast. You're not gonna have the accessibility to see your family super often if you're not nearby, and so only seeing them once or twice every few months is something that you have to deal with. But it is one of the cons of coming to the Ivy League school. Now, are there pros? Absolutely. That's an entirely new video. I could go on and on about pros and cons of choosing an Ivy League, but that's definitely something to consider if an Ivy League is a high priority for you. Another big thing to consider for a lot of people is the financial aid and scholarships. So overall, the Ivy League do not give out any scholarships, neither merit nor academic, meaning that if you're coming here, you are gonna have to pay tuition. But luckily, the Ivy Leagues are very, very well funded. They have a lot of financial aid to give out. And so if that's an issue for you, I highly recommend emailing your financial aid directors, seeing what they can do. If your financial aid package is too low for you and your family, there are several ways you can talk to the financial aid committee and they can reevaluate it. I know a lot of people that had that happen to them, and sometimes it works out for them, sometimes it doesn't. For me, coming to Princeton was an absolute blessing. I had a very generous financial aid package that's allowing me to come to this wonderful school. I am very fortunate, I am very grateful, and I think that's the great thing about the Ivy League is that they don't let financial resources be a barrier to anyone coming to their schools. If you have the academics, if you have the extracurriculars, and if they can tell you that you have the drive, they will do whatever it takes to help you and your family out and try and get you here, because they really do want the best and the brightest, and they don't want money to be a problem. I know Ivy Leagues have the stereotype of being these rich white people, but being at Princeton for the first few months, I can really tell that it's a diverse community. There's so many socioeconomic backgrounds. I don't feel like I'm an outsider. I met so many cool people from all over the world, and none of that would have been possible without the generous financial aid. Obviously, you clicked on this video, and unless you're my mom, my brother, or Mara, who supposedly watch all my videos, you're obviously a very high achieving, talented, successful high school student, and you want the best chance of getting into the Ivy League. Is it absolutely impossible? Is it a dream that you should give up on? Absolutely not. There are thousands of people at each school, and people can only accept one spot, meaning that there are literally thousands of other spots open for you at these different schools. Does not getting into the Ivy League, which has been your dream school since you were 8 years old, mean the end of the world? Absolutely not. There are so many other great universities out there. The Ivy League is really just a title. Are the opportunities really great? Of course. But at the same time, if you really utilize your resources at any university you end up at, you can truly be more successful than someone at the Ivy League who may not be able to use their resources as well. At the end of the day, college is really all about what you put into it, meaning that if you're willing to work hard, grind your ass off, and use any resources and opportunities that you can, and you're gonna have a great time. Obviously, this video could go on and on about the different tips and tricks that helped me get into the Ivy League, but those are videos for another time. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me feedback on any types of videos you guys want to see. I'll do my best to answer any questions, any concerns you guys may be having, because I know that the college applications process was a huge struggle. It's a huge mystery. You never know what's going on. You feel like you're by yourself, and if I can help anyone else out there, I'm doing someone a favor, and that's all that matters for me. My name is Chae. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.